So one of the more difficult breakups that can happen that people have a hard time talking about because it sounds too obnoxious. It sounds too awkward to actually put it into words. So a lot of people are kind of internally struggling with a situation when it feels like, I don't know why I'm still alone. I don't know why I'm being rejected. I don't know why I was just broken up with again. Maybe you're good looking. Maybe you're not only good looking, maybe you're good looking and intelligent. Maybe you're driven. Maybe you're successful. Maybe you have a great sense of humor. Maybe you're loyal. In other words, one of the more confusing breakups or situations or patterns of breakups that you can find yourself in is when you take an honest and sincere look at yourself and you don't know what the glaring problem is, but you have this consistent pattern of people finding you, falling in love with you, and then around the time the limerence starts to wear off, or when it seems like you're really on the cusp of getting that happily ever after and finding the one that you really believe is the one, all of a sudden that other person pulls back. All of a sudden that other person, the lack of interest starts to spike. That intensity that comes with limerence, the dopamine, the serotonin, that sense of just kind of almost being a little bit high and being completely in love, when you're floating on air, that drops. And all of a sudden, once again, you find yourself in a relationship where you're being rejected. And now you have not just this latest and painful breakup, but you might have a history of it. You might have a pattern of it. You might be able to look back on your life and think, ever since I can remember in grade school, people might get excited about being my boyfriend or girlfriend. But then just when I match that excitement level and we're together for a while, they find something. It's like there's something that God broke in me that I don't know how to find or fix. There's something about me that's not just flawed. There's something about me that is unwantable. And I have enough positive attributes that for a while, I can attract somebody. I can hold their attention. I have even had people fall deeply in love with me until they get me. And then when they get me, they find that thing in me that I feel like has always been broken, but I don't know how to find it. I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know how to explain it. But I felt this has happened to me so many times in life that there's strong circumstantial evidence that there's something about me that's just a little bit off. And that can make you so hurt, can make you so paranoid that you kind of take that baggage, that emotional weight with you into the next relationship. And hey, nothing helps a relationship bloom like having a deep-seated, well-hidden insecurity, a fear that that person that you're with now is going to reject you. It always comes out. So the first little signs of trouble, you might find yourself overreacting. Here we go again. Well, this situation can be a difficult one to understand, and because nobody wants to go to friends or family and say something that sounds as obnoxious as, I'm really good looking, I'm really smart, I'm really funny, I'm really loyal, I'm an amazing person, I'm an incredible catch that nobody wants to catch. What's wrong with me? It sounds like self-pity. It sounds confusing. It sounds even delusional and a little obnoxious. So people kind of wrestle with this. But it's a real thing. And it's not the kind of thing that gets a lot of conversation. So that's what this video is for. I've had a couple of clients recently that are really just exceptional people. And they're trying to take an honest, sincere look at themselves. But there's this wound there. There's a part of them that is just really convinced, I don't know what it is. There's just something about me. And they tend to have really negative comments about themselves. They consider themselves weak, foolish, not only broken in a way that they don't know how to find and fix, but they consider themselves weak because in spite of how they're treated, they still hold on to the love of the person that's rejected them. They still hold on to that consistent sense of connection, even the admiration or even the desire to be with the person that's just the latest line in the list of people that's rejected them. And feeling like you still want to be with somebody who has clearly articulated that they don't want to be with you, somebody that's rejected you, that you still find yourself wrestling with feelings for, deep, powerful feelings, can actually make you feel like there's something wrong with you. Well, if I was a strong person, if I had a strong sense of identity, if I really knew my own sense of self-worth, then I wouldn't want to be with somebody that is choosing to reject me. So that's strong evidence, again, something's wrong with me. And I don't know what it is. It sounds like it's not really a serious issue, but when you're living it and you've been living it, especially well into your adult years, it's a very painful topic that people don't know how to really understand. So that's what this video is. And I'm sorry, that was a bit of a preamble, but I'm just kind of jumping in right now. Well, first of all, we need to understand that we're not all wired the same. I mean, look, I believe in equal worth, equal value. I don't think any one person is better than another person in terms of their potential and in terms of their value that they were created with. But we don't all feel things to the same level. We're not all wired the same. So let's just to kind of take this from the perspective of what if you are that person? What if you really are an authentically good, deeply loving, deeply caring, deeply intelligent, gifted, exceptional person? Well, along with that exceptional intensity, they're going to come a few gifts. A lot of times you feel everything stronger and more deeply than the average person. So if this fits you, then you're probably not just an unusually loving and loyal person, but you're probably more creative. You're probably more insightful. You're probably more analytical. There are going to be gifts about you that come from the same gifted level of intensity that allows you to love to this level, that allows you to hold on to those feelings, that loyalty, that connection, and that affection. All of those things that you're beating yourself up for because you fall so deeply in love are usually connected to somebody that's wired with the intensity for that same giftedness to come out in other areas. So in other words, on a scale of 1 to 10, if your loyalty, your love, your heartbreak, on a scale of 1 to 10, if it's a 15, and that's what you kind of use to justify viewing yourself as weak, well, then you probably have that same intensity that comes out in areas where you're gifted. You might be more creative. You might be more competitive. You might be more analytical. There's going to be some things about you that actually stand out from the crowd, areas of your life that you're gifted. Now, like I said before, those areas in life where you're gifted, eventually, when you've been broken up with or rejected too many times, even the positive traits and characteristics about you seem to go onto the pile of evidence that something's wrong with you. Because you look at it like, well, wait, if I am more attractive than the average person, if I am more intelligent, more loving, more loyal, more committed, more sincere, if I have all these positives about me and I still keep getting rejected, I still keep getting broken up with, then that's even more evidence that something's wrong with me. A lot of times people in this situation will think to themselves a lot, if somebody else had all of my characteristics, if somebody else had all the positive attributes that I have, somehow they wouldn't be getting broken up with. They wouldn't be getting rejected. So my attributes, as positive as they are, actually end up serving as more evidence that something is fundamentally broken with me. But it's not true. It just feels true. It consistently feels true. It might have even started when you were young. Like in other words, this used to be a more commonly known thing, that the more gifted you are, the more intelligent you are, a lot of times the deeper you feel things. If you talk to teachers, back in the day, like from a generation ago, we've kind of lost sight of this recently. But if you ask them to describe the most gifted children in their class, the sharpest kids in their class, unless it's something like an Asperger's gifted or somebody on the spectrum, then normally that person is going to be more talkative, more inquisitive, have more questions, notice more things, notice more patterns, more outgoing. So it's like that intensity that comes with being gifted just kind of comes out in different ways. So you might have excelled in school. You might have been really gifted in a couple of subjects at least. Maybe you weren't the complete dominant student in every way, but there were probably areas in your life where you really excelled even at a young age. But the key thing is at a young age, that's usually where this kind of belief gets started. That's where the false evidence starts getting collected. In other words, let's just take, for example, let's say that little Billy is about to start school. And he's actually a really gifted child. Maybe his IQ is up there in the superior to genius range. Maybe he's creative. Maybe he's outgoing. Maybe he's talkative and has a lot of questions. The kind of kid that'll like exhaust his parents about why the sky is blue and why the grass is green. Well, you take that kid and you place him in a social environment where he starts interacting. When you're gifted at a young age, you don't fit in, but you don't realize that you don't fit in for good reasons. When you're too young to really understand what's happening socially, and you're still emotionally immature and just kind of have a lack of experience in life in general at that really young age where you're too young for fight or flight, you might find yourself just feeling like I don't quite fit in. I don't know what it is. But you never stop and think at that young age, well, maybe I don't fit in because I'm gifted. Maybe I don't fit in because there are positive things. Maybe I'm talking too much and other kids are thinking that I'm a little bit weird and thinking I'm a little bit off. Maybe I have more questions. Maybe I'm more talkative. Maybe I make more jokes. Maybe I make more jokes that other kids don't get. We don't instinctively think that we don't fit in at a young age because we're blessed or because there are things about us that might be exceptional. All we know at a young age is that we don't quite fit in as well as we wish we did. Now, that same gifted kid that might be creative, that might be outgoing, all the attributes that we're talking about, they tend to feel things to a really deep level, right? So when they feel love, their version of love might be up here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how they love might be a 15. And sometimes it even starts with the parents. You might have a parent, if this sounds like you, and you're that gifted person that's always wondered why something is broken about you that you can't find. A lot of times it starts even with a parent. So in other words, that child at a young age naturally, authentically has a stronger and deeper compassion, love, and understanding for their parent than the parent has for the child. That'll really make that child start to feel like something's wrong. Because they'll think, at a young age, you might remember thinking, wow, if I had a son or if I had a daughter, I wouldn't treat them this way. I wouldn't say this. I would do this. I would instinctively want to give them this. I would instinctively want to cherish, want to protect, want to love them. Why doesn't my mom or my dad feel about me the way I know I would feel about my child? I've talked to a lot of people in this situation that can remember at a young age loving their mother or loving their father more than they actually felt love from their mother or their father. So at a very early age, you're already starting to experience this sense of, I love them and the people in my life, I love to this degree. But the love that I get back from those people seem to be this degree. But that's okay. I love them anyway. And maybe they don't understand, and maybe they don't get it, and maybe they don't know how I feel, maybe they don't intend on hurting me. It's okay, I still love them this way. But you're already kind of starting collecting that false evidence, because at a young age you think, well, if they don't love me this much, I love them this much, but they love me this much. It's my parent. So maybe they're trying to be honest with me. Maybe if I was a better person, maybe if I wasn't as flawed, maybe if something wasn't wrong with me, they would love me this way. So at a very early age, you get locked into that pursuit of affection. What you're instinctively looking for is the version of love from the people you love that you naturally give. However we're wired, that becomes our default. That's why brilliant people don't necessarily walk around feeling like a genius. They just walk around wondering why there's so many dumb people in the world. Well, if you're naturally gifted at giving love, on a scale of 1 to 10, your 10 might actually be a 15 compared to the rest of the people in the world. But to you, it doesn't feel like gifted. To you, that's just how love feels. That's just how love acts. That's just how deeply love is connected, and how naturally somebody in love with somebody wants to sacrificially give to make that other person feel cared for. But you're not getting that. Sometimes you're not getting that at a very young age, even from your parent. But you just kind of learn to live in that system. You kind of have that sense of brokenness and you carry it with you. But maybe the next relationship you have, again, you have your first boyfriend or girlfriend in school. But again, when that limerence kicks in, that other person, when it's an early stage of a relationship, that other person is going to be in limerence along with you. Well, when two people are in limerence, you both look like, on a scale of 1 to 10, that you're in love to a 15. So at the beginning, if you're wired like this, when you start having a new relationship, it might feel like, consistently, you might feel like this is the one. In other words, this person, because they're in limerence with you, they have the dopamine, the serotonin, the adrenaline, all kind of flooding into their bloodstream. So for a short period, that other person can match the level of love that you naturally give. So you're both kind of caught up in the magic together. But limerence is actually built to only last for anywhere from like 2 to 18 months. And usually it's a lot closer to the 2 months than the 18. And the younger you are, the faster that limerence can wear off. So maybe early in your first few relationships, that other person was in limerence with you. It felt like you found a match. You're crazy about them. They're crazy about you. This is amazing. And then just when it feels like you both have that same intensity that you really have been longing for, all of a sudden, nope. That's your next example of something's wrong with you, because you're both up here in limerence. Well, that average person falls out of limerence. That exceptional person a lot of times holds to that limerence. That same gifted level of intensity that I'm talking about a lot of times holds longer. So that person might not fall out of limerence as fast as the more neurotypical or that average person will fall out. So when the other person falls out of limerence, now this person is like, oh no, not again. I've already got this baseline belief that something's wrong with me. And this new exciting person that I thought was the love of my life is now like, I can feel a shift. I can feel this lack of interest. I can feel that they're trying to create space. I don't want space. I'm addicted to this person. I love being around this person. It's euphoric when I'm around them. So, hey, is everything okay? Hey, can I do anything? Do you need to talk? I love you. Do you know how much I love you? Maybe you've forgotten how much I love you. Let me flood you with more affection, because I'm trying to bring you back up to where we were together. You dropped out, and now I feel alone and abandoned. So let me try to remind you of how great it felt just last week. Hey, do you want to talk? Hey, do you know how much you mean to me? Hey, I'll never stop loving you. I'm always here. So the more affection you hit them with, the more that affection actually comes across as neediness. It comes across as emotional dependence. Some of the pillars of falling in love, the pillars of limerence, are new, exciting, uncertain, forbidden. Well, when you're flooding that person who just dropped out of limerence with just reassurance after reassurance that, hey, you're the one that I love. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it seems to be a drop in affection, but what can I do? The more you do that, the more you're accidentally draining the attraction more, but you're doing it out of instinct. You've been here before. You know what it's like to find somebody that feels the way you want them to feel. You finally feel like you found your person, and then now you're losing them again. So instinctively, you want to pursue them. You want to remind them of just how great it felt not too long ago. But the more you chase, the more you're naturally trying to express that sincere, deep, authentic love that you have for them, the more you're accidentally painting yourself as somebody who's incapable of living without them. And if you project enough affection that the other person thinks you can't live without them, that's not attractive. That crosses the line and it feels more like worship than it feels like admiration. It doesn't actually convey that, hey, I'm somebody that you can love. I'm somebody that you can trust will always be here. It actually works against you. But what's happening is you're reacting out of panic. You're reacting out of anticipating that if they fell out of limerence, if you felt that initial drop in attraction to you, that's the beginning of the plummet. You know what's coming next because you've seen it so many times. And you've seen it so many times, you become a self-fulfilling prophecy. All right, their affection for me dropped. I need to talk to them. I need to find out what went wrong. I need to reinvest. I need to find new ways to show them how much they mean to me or to impress them with who I am. And you chase. And the more you chase, the more the affection drops. And that's exactly what you knew was going to happen. And that's why you had the reaction that you had. And now you have one more piece of false evidence that something's wrong with you. Yeah, you're great at attracting people. You're great at having that initial explosion of love and passion, and both of you telling that, hey, we found our person. You're my soulmate. But every time you think you found your soulmate, every time you think you found your lobster, they go away again. And the common denominator is you. But what if that common denominator is you, but not because you're broken? What if it's not because something is deeply and secretly flawed inside of you that you can't find and you don't know how to fix? What if that level of love that you so naturally give and that's matched when the other person is limerence, what if it's rare? What if just like the other things in your life that allowed you to become the success and to be the example that you are, what if that same intensity is what makes you love to a higher degree, to a deeper level? And maybe you're expecting what's exceptional about you to be matched by the average person. You're not going to find it. If you're wired like this, you're not finding that match for you, not because there's something wrong with you. A lot of times it's because something's right with you, but you don't know it. And all you know is that pain is not evidence of strength. Because physically, when we hurt, we know that pain is a sign that something's broken, something's wounded, something needs to be stronger, something needs to heal. Emotionally, when we hurt, sometimes we hurt because we're gifted, because we love deeper, because we're exceptional. But that pain is evidence to us that something's wrong. And the person walking away, the person rejecting us, they seem fine. So they look strong. What if they're not strong? What if they misinterpreted your exceptional love as dependence, as codependence, as neediness, as clinginess? And to a degree, maybe it is, but not because you don't really have a strong sense of who you are. Maybe you just have a desperation because you're just so exhausted and frustrated trying to figure out why you can't get somebody to match and maintain the same level of love that comes so naturally to you. Not only comes naturally, it's an impulse. You not only want to show love, it's an enthusiastic desire to show love. If you understand how rare and how gifted and how exceptional you are to be wired that way, you can stop expecting to have it returned to you to that same level without looking at it like it's because something's wrong with you. If you're wired like this, there are two things that I've seen will consistently help you find that relationship that you're looking for. Number one, if you can accept that your version of love for the person you're with might be this, and long term, their best version of love once they fall out of limerence might be this. That's okay. Not every relationship, as a matter of fact, there's no such thing as a relationship that's completely evenly matched. It'll feel that way at first, especially in the limerence stage, but long term, consistent, adult, mature, meaningful, intimate relationships, it's not an equal thing. There's going to be a little bit of an off balance. If you understand that off balance is coming from not because you're broken, but maybe because you're gifted at expressing love, then you can carry that with a sense of pride instead of a sense of shame. In other words, if you're the one that naturally loves the other person more, take pride in that. But stop measuring the love that they're giving back to you as evidence that something's broken with you or as evidence that they don't really love you at all. Now, details matter. When it gets to a level of manipulation, when it gets to a matter of such an obvious imbalance, that one person is disrespecting and continuously manipulating the other one. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about two people who are authentically in love, but one's version of love is stronger, more consistent, more affectionate, more intense. And the other one is authentically in love, but they're just not matching to that level. That's okay. If you can understand that not all relationships are going to be perfectly balanced, and stop looking at them not matching your intensity as consistently as you feel it, as them rejecting you, you can have a good relationship in that. The other one is just understanding some people, their version of love on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 15, and they want a 15 back. They want a 15 consistently from the other person. Well, just understand there's nothing wrong with that. You have every right to be looking to have the same kind of love returned to you that you so naturally and authentically give. But understand, you're gifted. It's going to take longer to find that person. So when the other person, say you start dating and you're really looking for somebody that loves you to the same level that you love them, that's fine. Everybody has a right to want what they want. But when you start dating somebody and the limerence kicks in, when that limerence drops, don't chase. See if they return. Give them time. Give them space. If you find that other person isn't wired to give you consistently the same level of affection that you give them and that you need to feel loved, then let them go. But stop trying to think that if you give it a consistent example of what true deep love looks like, they're going to learn from your example and start emulating you. They won't. They won't learn from your example and start emulating you. They'll take your consistent example and the pressure you're giving them to match it. It'll actually seem like a sign of weakness. It's actually unattractive. So it's not going to pull them up to your level. It's actually going to drain the attraction that they still have for you. So just understand it's a longer process. But the less time you waste on trying to make that person the person you need them to be, the faster you'll find the real person that's out there. So just be patient with you if that's what you want. Understand that what you're giving is rare. What you're looking for is rare. So of course you're going to go through more attempts. Of course you're going to have more heartbreak. Of course more people are going to prove to not be the person that you're looking for. That doesn't mean the person's not out there. It just means that you're a harder match to find for good reason. But in either case, stop looking at your gifted level of heart and love and the exceptional things about you as evidence that something's broken inside of you. It's not true. It just feels true a lot of times. And we can have a whole lifetime of what seems like undeniable evidence that something is just unfixably broken and we don't know how to find it. So if this sounds like you might be going through this right now. Maybe you're watching videos like this because you're trying to win somebody back. Maybe you're in no contact. And in part of that confusion, you're just trying to understand how this keeps happening to you. If you're in the middle of it right now, try the no contact approach, not because it's the best strategy, not because you're trying to manipulate the person into wanting you back, which somebody always says in the comments. No contact in this situation is good because it kind of teaches you how to calibrate, how to almost measure how much of that affection that you flood the other person with. That doesn't mean you're inauthentic. That doesn't mean you're pretending or that you're a fake because you're holding back some of that affection. Sometimes you have to hold back. You have to restrain what's an impulsive, natural, even enthusiastic desire to give somebody in terms of affection, not because you're trying to pretend like you don't care. I'm not trying to give douchebag lessons, but because you understand that if you flood them with what to you is a natural level of sincere love, it can accidentally be seen by them as something that it's not. It can also create in them this expectation that you expect that back from them. It can create this sense of responsibility, and they don't know how to level up. They don't know how to maintain consistently that same high level of emotional intensity and affection. So it's natural for them to pull back. That doesn't mean that you can't adjust. It doesn't make you a fake if you just decide that I'm not going to 24/7 flood them with this desire, with this intimacy, with this sense of love and affection and how precious they are 24/7. That doesn't make you less authentic. So I hope this helps. Every situation is different. If I can be of help, you can make an appointment with me at realcoachken.com. If it's been of any help, please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll be back again soon. So thank you a lot. We'll talk soon.